Today, we've got a massive update to talk about, and I'm really excited because Destiny Rising just pushed out update 0.9.11. And honestly, there's so much in here that it feels like the game is starting to shift into a whole new stage of life. I spent hours reading through the patch notes, checking out what's changed, what's new, and what's been fixed. And I want to walk you through it in a way that actually feels like we're just hanging out and going over everything together. This update isn't just a handful of bug fixes, it's bringing in new characters, new events, and a ton of optimizations that are going to impact how you play on a daily basis. So settle in because there's a ton to unpack here, and I want to make sure we really take our time with it all. First off, let's talk about the two new characters because that's always one of the most exciting parts whenever Destiny Rising updates. Estela, also known as the Ahamkara Bane, is the big mythic character being added here, and she comes in rocking solar with an offensive playstyle. She's built around using a pulse rifle and a machine gun, which immediately tells you she's going to be aggressive and able to keep pressure on enemies with both mid-range bursts and sustained heavy fire. Mythic characters always end up changing how people build their teams and strategies, and Estela feels like someone who's going to push a more direct, aggressive rhythm. On the flip side, Umeko the Kunoichi is a legendary character with a void support identity, wielding a scout rifle and sniper rifle. That instantly makes her more deliberate, more tactical. Instead of just charging into fights, she's going to be about positioning, controlling the flow of combat, and probably rewarding players who like to be methodical. Just looking at those two back-to-back, you can already feel the balance of playstyles being shaken up, with Estela appealing to people who want raw damage and presence, and Umeko rewarding those who prefer strategy and precision. And of course, since Estela is the new mythic, Bungie, or well, in this case, the Rising team, set her up as the guaranteed pull in the new limited time draw event called the Sun Shadow. This draw is running for 28 days, and Estela is obviously the headliner. What makes this interesting, though, is that the legendary draws tied to this banner include big names like Kaber, Akora, and Umeko, which means that even if you don't land Estela right away, you've got a strong chance at pulling some really powerful legendaries that can help you round out your roster. This feels like a really generous banner compared to some of the ones we've had before, and it makes sense because a mythic introduction needs to feel like an event. They've even tied in another event called Benediction Day that runs from September 11th to October 4th. And this one is all about collecting crystalline sprouts and blossoms. Basically, you grind out these items and then you can use them to pick up discounts, cosmetics like ornaments, fun little emotes, and even chat emojis. If you go all the way through and complete the full Daughter of Spring set, you unlock a dynamic emblem, which is a nice little flex item. This kind of side event always helps the game feel alive because it encourages you to log in, even if you're not grinding hardcore, since you don't want to miss out on the limited cosmetics. Now, while new characters and flashy events are cool, the thing that really matters for the long-term health of the game is the start of Season 1, the season of Daybreak. This is the first real seasonal system being layered into Destiny Rising, and you can tell the devs are trying to line it up with what works in other live service games while giving it its own flavor. With the season comes new cosmetics, a unique seasonal modifier, and a set of seasonal rewards that are going to give everyone something to chase after beyond the usual grind. The way I see it, this is a sign that Destiny Rising is moving out of just being in testing phases and more into a structured, ongoing experience. Seasons mean you've got a rhythm, you've got something to look forward to every few months, and for a game like this, that's absolutely critical. One of the things that made me smile going through these patch notes is just how much love they put into the little optimizations. For example, they improved the login screen prompts, so it's clearer when you're coming into the game. And they reworked controller operation prompts so you don't feel lost if you're playing on a controller. That's small stuff, right? But it matters because it reduces friction. Then you've got bigger quality of life adjustments like improved weapon comparison visuals, so you don't feel like you're staring at spreadsheets when trying to decide between two guns. Selling stuff on the black market is smoother now, and they even added a toggle for shoot to pick up, which is one of those little features you don't think about until it annoys you in the middle of combat. And then suddenly you're like, oh wow, this is perfect. Those small touches are what make me feel like the devs are really paying attention to feedback. Character and weapon tweaks are always controversial because people get attached to how their favorites play, but I think most of the adjustments in this patch are smart. Estela, being new, already had some fixes lined up, like improvements to her face model so she doesn't look off in cutscenes. Gwyn got some really meaningful changes. Her Soul Assault ability now has better absorption distance, and her Void Dance skill has had its actual range aligned with the description, which is huge because there's nothing worse than a mismatch between what a tooltip promises and what the game delivers. They also upped the maximum number of void spirits she can generate to 8, which makes her synergy with certain exotic weapons feel much more satisfying. Ningfei had some visual polish added to her super, making it feel smoother and more impactful when you pop it. All of these are tweaks that show they're really focused on making abilities feel consistent, which is key in a competitive environment. There's also a bunch of system and activity updates that might not sound flashy, but are going to impact day-to-day gameplay. Common bounties can now be refreshed once, which is honestly something people have been asking for forever, because no one wants to be stuck with a set of bounties that don't match the activities they want to play. The recommendation logic for wolf packs has been improved, which should make tracking smoother, and they've changed how Relic Trait 3 unlocks. Instead of tying it to a claim level 2, it's now based on team level 71. That's a much clearer and grind-based progression system that feels more rewarding. They also rebalanced rewards in Singularity Chaos, so they're more fair, and they removed some of the overly brutal wishes from Morgan's Prey, which should make that activity less punishing. All of this helps smooth out the grind while still keeping a sense of challenge. Animation, audio, and visual updates are everywhere in this patch too. For instance, they improved the audio for the wishes in Morgan's Prey, and also for Wolf's signature ability, Wolf's Strike, so those moments sound sharper and more impactful. Animations got attention as well, like better third-person dual sidearm animations and tweaks for the exotic weapons suite business. They even fixed decal displays during dialogue so cutscenes look more polished, and slide controls are now more responsive, which matters a ton for people who rely on movement mechanics. You can really feel that they want the game to not just play well, but also look and feel good moment to moment. Localization is one of those invisible areas that most players don't notice unless it's bad, but they actually spent time here too. They cleared up weapon perk descriptions across multiple languages, fixed objective text so it doesn't mislead you, and in Japanese, they made sure honorifics are being used properly, which shows respect for the culture. In Latin American Spanish, they cleaned up some grammar issues so things read more naturally. This is all invisible polish that makes the game more welcoming to a global audience, and that's vital for a title like Destiny Rising that's trying to expand worldwide. Bug fixes, as always, take up a huge section of the patch, but man, some of these were needed. Void vortexes in Morgan's Prey weren't spawning properly, and that's been fixed. In Singularity, they patched problems where players could get stuck under the ground, bosses were getting cheesed from entrances, and rewards weren't displaying correctly. The Iron Bar practice range had damage bugs and entry problems that are now corrected. They even fixed issues with fishing effects clipping through the world, campaign dialogue cameras being out of place, and problems where you'd switch back characters when leaving story mode. The ball kick mini activity wasn't letting people actually kick the ball, which sounds funny, but it's fixed now, and even those crazy Vex self-destructs that were insta-killing players got toned down. These are the kinds of bugs that frustrate people daily, so clearing them out makes a big difference. On the weapons and character side, there were fixes too. Ningfei's signature damage resistance buff is now working properly, which makes her more reliable in combat.